Welcome to the Soloventure podcast. Wherever you're listening to or watching this, if you could do us a huge favor and hit that subscribe or follow button, we'll work tirelessly to make the show better and expand production as we want to share the best info and best experiences to inspire your journey to solopreneurship. That is the only favor we'll ever ask of you. Thanks for your time. Now back to the show. I noticed that when I was overseas in like Vietnam, Bali, and Southeast Asia, and I was 13 hours difference from Eastern time, my day was a little bit more stress-free because I was, I get all my notifications in a batch because they would come in while I'm sleeping and I would get them first thing in the morning,
that's a
right?
really good point.
And I've noticed since I've been back on Eastern time that it's nice to be for meetings. It's great because I'm not doing this, middle of the night crap. But I've noticed that my anxiety has been really high, and a lot of it's because of the workload, like we were saying. But I think there's something also like mentally we get those notifications. And I know you're much better than I am at this, where like you try to keep stuff off your phone and everything. But I noticed today when I just went for a walk around the neighborhood before we jumped on, I'm like, man, why am I so stressed? I'm doing the same amount of work, or actually less than I was before. And I honestly think it's because I'll get an email for somebody asking me for something. And I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, oh, I have to do this now. And I'm starting to think that, maybe I need to batch these, like, hey, I'm going to bookmark this or like put a star on it, you name it, whatever, and save it for later, because my entire days now are like not terrible, but I'm like, I noticed like, because I try to be as reflective as I can. I'm like, man, I'm really stressed and I'm not doing, so I don't know, but you've probably been doing this for a while, right? Didn't you remove the notifications from your phone and all that?
I've just removed the apps. So clients probably watching this now and be like, that's why we can't get hold of them.
Yeah, that's smart.
I removed the apps. So the only thing I've got on there that a couple of clients, well, one client can access me via WhatsApp, but there's more of a relationship there, like we're mates. And
Sure.
that's absolutely fine. But yeah, I don't have Slack on the phone because I don't want to look at my phone that much if I can avoid it.
Yeah.
And two, I can just check on the computer and it means I do batch it. But also, like, even if it's work, I think we've been wired to like want the notifications. Like, even if it's work, I think you probably still get like a little dopamine hit. If that's the case.
True.
Definitely, to be honest, like I've done it several times, and I think a lot of people do this, is that they'll like come off Instagram or something for a while. This is social now. But I've done it in the past, but I've always gone back to it quite quickly. This year I've done it and I've taken it off, and I've really rarely checked it on the desktop now, which is a nice feeling. And even to the point where like it's maybe not the best in all ways, because I've missed out on like maybe some life events with some friends, and they said, they've like referenced, oh yeah, my post, and I was like, oh fuck, I haven't seen it. But it honestly, like not having anything on my phone coming up random points, amazing, because when you see it, it's lodged in your mind. Even if you're not going to look, you're not going to handle it straight away. It's then another piece of information that your brain's trying to store somewhere, that I'm like, cool, if I don't actually look at it or it doesn't come through, I'll never have to store it. But it comes back to like Tim Ferriss, 4-hour work week. Like, one of the things he said, like, one, the batching side of things, but reducing the amount of stuff that's coming through as well.
Yeah, no, I like what you just said about resting in the back of your mind, like always kicking around in your mind, because my brain does that. It's worse than most people's, as you've seen over the last 6 months with all the things I need to do right away. So if I get an email for something that's a super simple task that I just remembered, actually I have to do something after this. But you're right. Like you can be like, oh, I'll put this off till later. But in my mind, I'm still like thinking about it. And I also noticed that if I reply to things right away, then they get used to that. Like when I say they, I mean, freelance clients, agency, coworkers. And then if I start dialing back a little bit, so you don't want to get people in that cadence of like, hey, he's going to respond right away. I mean, not that you can't be helpful and be professional, but if you get everybody trained that they're going to get an instant response or instant answer, and then you have a period of time where you're focused work or you can't get to it, you don't want them thinking that, that you're not doing, because that's human nature. They get like programmed for each person. So that's another thing too, because now if I wanted to do focused work for 4 hours, I have to put my Slack notification, or I have to put do not disturb on all my stuff. Otherwise people are going to be like, are you okay? We haven't heard from you. So that's another byproduct of responding right away, is just people get used to it. So, which is not a good thing.
For sure. You also mentioned like when you're overseas, it was way easier. And I've been thinking about that recently. Like, I sometimes I enjoy the work I do for my overseas clients in the US more because the comms window is much shorter, so it's snappier to the point. It's very organized, and also it means I get into those deep work periods. But when I have clients that are in the same time zone and there's different pressures, they can pull you out of that. Plus calls, and I think everyone knows this, like trying to reduce calls as much as possible, especially when they're not really needed. I think more and more people are aware of that now, so it's getting a little easier, especially remote agencies. I think it's a hard balance to strike because you're trying to build a team. Like, you do want some kind of maybe calls that aren't absolutely necessary for the work that needs to get done, but they're maybe necessary for the collaboration and actually meeting the people that you work with, because you're not in an office and you don't get that feeling. But yeah, going back to the original point, I think I'm definitely looking forward, like being tactical about clients, thinking, okay, cool. Well, if that's my client, like, and they're low on calls, they're quite maybe organized asynchronously. It means I can get into deep work, get everything done, comms in the kind of late afternoon or early morning, just to kind of touch base. And then that's a nice little work schedule, I think.
Yeah, for sure. And I actually never had any problems with as a freelancer with any of my clients giving me a hard time if I couldn't, if I told them like, hey, I'm in Vietnam, they were all really cool about it. So, it was all in my head, of course, as it always is, like you think like, oh, I got to be here for this. I have to reply to this email. And if you tell them where you're at or however arrangements you want to make, even if you're on their time, hell, I'm in Eastern time for a couple more months. I may tell everybody that I'm going to Vietnam tomorrow. That way they won't. That may save
Yeah, that's a
that may
great
solve my
idea.
problem. I might
That's a
do that. Might
great
solve my
idea.
problem.
And then they're
Yeah.
like,
So
oh yeah, Lee's on at 3 a.m. Like, it's amazing. Yeah.
yeah, this guy works all the time. He's
That's so good.
he's go
That's
he's going
amazing.
to the bars at 2 in the morning. He's at happy hour. That's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. Where are you right now, actually?
Oh, wow. I'm in Detroit, but we're going to Florida next uh, in 2 weeks, and then we're going to continue with the plan to Mexico. So we're just going to stop by Florida for a little bit, which is nice. By Orlando, where Disney World is. Even though I'm not a Disney person, I'm a little too old for it. Even though there are people that are old that love Disney, which is a little weird, but okay. It's a beautiful place, obviously, but it's expensive and it's a theme park. So if you got little kids, it's awesome. If you're an adult, I don't know. There's like one bar in the whole Magic Kingdom. So when I went as an adult, I was like, I just need a beer. And they're like, there's no beer here, sir. And I was like, there's ice cream everywhere. It's like, where's a beer? So I went to there's a little bar in there in Magic Kingdom that they're like, it's a 2 beer maximum. And this was back when I was like drinking 4 or 5 beers just to get a buzz. And I was like, you're fucking kidding me. So I took some people that were with me and I made them go in and buy more beer. That's how bad it was. I'm not going to stand in these lines without being drunk. Are you kidding me? So, yeah, that's funny. I just remember that now. But yeah. So anyway, we'll be down in Orlando for a little bit and then headed over to Mexico. Same plan. So that'll be good. We'll get some good people on the show when I'm in Mexico because I'll be in the community down there. And we've got some big plans for that. So anyway, it'll be a good time.
Yeah, it's a good time, actually. Just to mention, we have 4 guests coming up. So
Yeah.
copywriters, people running their own social media, agencies, wellness, health and wellness. Yeah, we've got some really interesting guests coming up, and a couple of people that we've met or I've met personally, but also people we've not met. So people on via Twitter, LinkedIn. Like, it's really, really exciting to see things coming together. So those episodes will be out in the next couple of months.
Right. And we have Francis coming on too, which I know we mention all the time, but for good reason. He's the reason that you and I are doing this, or the reason that we met so we could build this. And he's also got a new program starting. So, and we're involved in that because, we never stop learning. So, just because we made it to a certain point doesn't mean that we don't have things we need to work on. And I do have a lot of things I need to work on. So that'll be exciting to get him on. We'll talk about his original program and then what we're doing with him now. So it's nice to circle back with him after a couple of years. So we've each only been doing this for a couple of years now, and we've we've done pretty well at it, and a lot of it's due to him. So that'll be fun to get him on. But
The one and only.
yeah, the one and only Francis. Yeah, he's he better be watching these because we fucking mention his name every time. Yeah, that's going to be a short, Francis.
Has he given us an affiliate link yet?
I don't recall that. We actually need to get back with him. We should probably need to touch base with him now that things are slowing down. And I hate to say it, but it'll probably be over my weekend. But that's all right. Man, whatever. Labor Day, whatever that is.
What have you got planned for it?
I don't know. I'm trying not to drink. So if in case anybody who's been watching from the beginning can see my face, there's about 10, 20 extra pounds on here. I won't show you my measurements right now, but so I'm trying to not pig out, but it's hard. I know we mentioned this before about coming back to your home country. And for some people, it's the exact opposite. Like I go somewhere else in the world, I don't drink as much because I'm not as tempted. I try to eat better. So when I come home, it's like everybody's hitting me up to go drinking, and then all the food and the pastries and all the things that we have, because we have a lot of shitty food here. I'll just be honest. We do in the US. Like we have fast food on every corner, and look at it's a discipline problem. It's not that I don't know. I just McDonald's is fucking great. It's a shit.
Is that the one of choice, or because you've got stuff that like In-N-Out, you've got Wendy's.
Yeah, we are lucky, and you probably have this, in your area too, where like we are lucky in the sense that we have all those fast food places like Chipotle and all that stuff. But it is nice to be, and I didn't realize this till later in life. I can say right now, if I wanted like Indian food or Mexican food or Brazilian steak, just name a country, Vietnamese food, there is whatever I name right now. I can look on a map, and it will be within a couple of miles, like 3 kilometers from where I'm at, which is rare. Then I met some people from like South Africa when I was in Florida, and they're like, "Oh yeah, we didn't have Mexican food in our town." And I was like, "What do you mean you didn't have Mexican food?" Because we forget in the U.S., and I'm sure it's the same way where you're at now. Like we have a lot of options. Anyway. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So we have a lot of options, but yeah, it's just it's not healthy, and it's a self-control thing, like everything else. It's
old habits, man. It's old habits. You come home and you're like, oh yeah, okay, this is what I used to do. So it's hard to break out of it.
And then you get lazy, and if you ruin one, like if I go pig out at lunch today, then my dinner's going to be like, well, fuck it, I already pigged out at lunch. Instead of like breaking yourself, instead of doing what I should do and be like, hey, I had one bad meal, I'm not going to ruin the rest of the weekend. But it's like, well, I had pizza and beer, so I might as well have a cheesesteak sandwich the following day. And you know what I mean? It's just like, it kind of compounds, and it's human nature. We all do it. It's stupid, but whatever, bad habits.
That cheesesteak sandwich does sound good though.
Yeah. Well, it is lunchtime here too, and I haven't eaten yet. I'm fasting. I'm drinking my anxiety coffee here. So yeah. Anyway,